Stay put, my boy, the train is on its way. I said stay put, my boy, each dog has its day. Stay put. She called me a bitch, it's been years how I spot her. Seen how much of a bitch I be, buried her soul when I blocked her. I contemplate they mental health, but for sure I be no doctor. I bet he will still fuck a lame, I doubt that will ever change. Is there any hope as I sit up at the end of this bed? Tired of the re-up, covers got me losing sleep instead. Thinking about little niggas with no education, no rap sequence, teeth fucked up. Don't know about insurance or family dentist. Piece of the sky opens up, he realizes enough for what he's born with, anger. Mixes it in one hell of a cup. At times I sit and ponder about the opportunities I never had. Even though I'm borrowing time, most niggas will never have. I guess 2020 is the golden year for me. 27 on my jersey claiming clarity. I gotta reach the mountaintop, you just wait and see. I'm coming back into myself, good vision and good health. I seen a dream hit a nigga when he widened up his nose. I seen a dream hit a nigga when he widened up his nose. I seen a dream hit a nigga when he widened up his nose. I seen a dream hit a nigga when he widened up his nose. I seen a dream hit a nigga when he widened up his nose. I seen a dream hit a nigga when he widened up his nose. I seen a dream hit a nigga when he widened up his nose. I seen a dream hit a nigga. He stood there declaring what was already his. Even though time seemed to slow, there he was, train lights shining on him like showbiz. He stayed woke long enough to see it. Ha! The train is on its way. The train is on its way. I told you, young man, every dog has its day. Stay put. Pick up my bags, I be free at last. Don't wanna hear another word from my bum ass past. I graduate to know what's fate and what's a fantasy line. I done walked the wrong path maybe a couple of times. Stepping through, I hope to see windows and green leaves. Freedom of speech, sunshine, rhythm up under my feet. Is it a dream? I check the clock for times like this. People around you can't understand what it means to exist. So make a dollar, be a god, crown yourself, be a martyr, dream big, be a father, word up. I see my time around the world before I'm giving it up. I see myself living for me instead of living for her. That's rare. Two worlds niggas can never compare. Giving time to a world that'll never be there. So
yo,
weight up, press, hit the gym, so
yo.
enough to hold your head up.
What's the word, people? Happy Juneteenth to the people. Power to the people. You know we here, man. You know I got my Juneteenth jewelry on. You know, we appreciate everybody for rocking with us. You know, here's the deal. This is a special bedtime stories edition. Special bedtime stories edition, and honestly, we're gonna get it cracking with a lot of facts. We got some leaders that I want to focus on, and then we're gonna get my take. You know what it is, bedtime stories. Let's go.
Keep your head up. Gotta chase your dreams out the paper. Over time, things change. So much bloodshed, it's a shame. Don't know what the future holds. Humble, I remain. Don't replace fear where trust should be.
Don't do it.
Right here, should've know what your left think. Don't compare the size, focus on your team. Can't be myself, won't be anything.
Squally.
Grant me peace, I've been patient. Trying to find solutions without foundation. One life that not wasted.
For people that are coming in, please. Make sure you like the video. Hit the notification bell if you're watching us on YouTube. Juneteenth, man. This episode, let's have some fun. You know we're gonna upload the reels. You know we're gonna be back Monday. Let's get it.
I wake up, make a dollar, be a guy, crown yourself, be a model, dream big, be a father, word up, and get your weight up, press, hit the gym so it's enough to hold your head up, rest enough to see yourself inside a dream. Make a dollar, be a guy, crown yourself, be a model, dream big, be a father, word up, and get your weight up, press, hit the gym so it's enough to hold your head up, rest enough to see yourself inside a dream.
All right. So here's the deal. We're going to get into a lot today. We're going to get into a lot. This will be a phenomenal session. When it comes to Juneteenth, when it comes to Black excellence, when it comes to being mindful of where we started, where we're going, the people we need to be to get to where we need to go, in the finish line and going past it. That's what we're going to be looking at today for Juneteenth. It's going to be a phenomenal episode. And I want everyone here, if you like the video, like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell to refrain from missing any of our content. Bedtime Stories is doing phenomenal. Phenomenal. And I want everyone to understand that. Beyond the Book does not take anything for granted. We got a special interview coming up for everybody also. Interviewing one of my sisters, somebody who is phenomenal, a business owner, entrepreneur, dealt with a lot of criticism when it came to not only starting, when it comes to the foundation of just everyday life, family dynamic, you know, being around people who she thought was there for her and her, you know, son to pretty much come out on the other end and be a phenomenal person that was tarnished because of the child's looks, their hairstyle, and a federal bill was passed. So those are things that we will get into, not today, sort of today a little bit, but specifically the Beyond the Book guest on the Beyond the Book podcast. That episode will be airing sometime next week. Next Sunday, more than likely on the 28th, is the Sunday of June. So without further ado, we want to get into Juneteenth and the definition of Juneteenth right now. For the people in the back, let's just go here and let's show the definition of Juneteenth. We're not going to waste much time. We want to get right into it. So if we look here, the definition of Juneteenth. All right. And what I want to do is, hang on. What I want to do is I want to make sure that I'm a little bit below here so that you guys can see what I got going on. Okay. So be a little bigger. All right. So the definition of Juneteenth, okay, a holiday celebrated on June 19th to commemorate the emancipation of enslaved people in the U.S. The holiday was first celebrated in Texas, where on that date in 1865, in the aftermath of the Civil War, enslaved people were declared free under the terms of the 1862 Emancipation Proclamation. So essentially, it says we're on the day 1865 in the aftermath of the Civil War, enslaved people were declared free. So I've talked about the actual history of Black people in their plight within America. You go to slavery, of course. Then you have, after slavery, you have the Civil War. After Civil War, you have Emancipation Proclamation. Then you have Reconstruction. Then you have reinstatement of the 14th and 15th Amendment. Then you have the Civil Rights era. Okay. So, and even before that, in 1870, you have the Voters' Rights Bill, where African-American men were able to vote in that time period. So that's the history in a nutshell. But I want to do something for us today. The reason why Juneteenth is celebrated because of the last slave ship that was brought to the Americas, which I think was in Texas. So what I want to do right now is just show you guys the last slave ship to arrive in America. So the Clotilda was the last known slave ship to arrive in America during enslaving Africans to Mobile, Alabama. I'm sorry. Mobile, Alabama. Also, I got cousins in Mobile. Shout out to them. Mobile, Alabama, so not Texas, in 1860. The ship was identified after being found in 2019, and its discovery brought new focus to the community of Africatown. Africatown, formed by the descendants of those who were transported on the Clotilda. The Clotilda's voyage was a violation of the act prohibiting importation of slaves, which had been implemented 52 years earlier. So they violated, of course, for the money, white people, essentially, and other people were involved in the slave trades as well, but that's not our focus. The Clotilda's voyage was a violation of the act prohibiting importation of slaves. So the key points about this is, number one, slaves were not people who just willingly came. Because here's the deal. This is the gripe that I have with people who tell the story, whether it be white, brown, blue, whatever else. Of course, we know that the slaves were taken against their will. This is what we should know. But also, these were skilled people taken by force and came over to actually implement what they practiced on their land, providing rich soil, tools, all those things, right? Medicine, and provided it for the Americas. And that's the biggest thing that we can take out of 1860 and having that slave ship arrive. But here's the deal. I want to actually make sure that we understand why Juneteenth matters. Why Juneteenth matters. And Juneteenth matters because there has been a significant plight on Black people, African American people, whatever, right? We know what it is. When a cop pull us over, he look at a Black man, Black woman, whatever else. America looks at us as Black people. When it comes to that, there are significant plights of people who have been underrepresented, disenfranchised, marginalized, and misrepresented for years. Black people are still going through that today. But upon, I would say, 60 years ago, people are still alive who are 60 years old, which I don't understand why people act like, the different things that I mentioned that are holding Black people back aren't relevant today when we still have people living who have not experienced the totality of an equal place in America, whether it be for democracy or whatever you may believe in. We're told that the U.S. is a democracy. So whatever constructs Black people are living within that today, they have not experienced an equal validation of how they are being treated. And we're talking about across the board equitably, from society, when it comes to housing, when it comes to food, when it comes to education, when it comes to medicine, economics. So the biggest thing for us right now is to understand why Juneteenth matters. So there has been systemic delays then and now, and we're going to take a look at them. What are the systemic delays? And I'm going to hit you with a lot of facts. For the people who watch and you believe in Google, this is where I'm taking it to Google, so that you can go look this up yourself. We have a lot of parties going on, chicken and wings, You know, a lot of foods that we not gonna be able to burn off that same day. Understood. Great celebration. But I want to express to people why we got here, how we got here, and a list of systematic delays that prevented Black people from building economic power. Because that's the most important thing for me. Economic power. I don't care about opinions because everybody got one. I don't care about what could be, what should be, because everybody has a voice now, you know, when it comes to institutions, social media, etc. Young, old, whatever. We need economic power. So here are some factors on Google. A history of systemic delays have prevented Black people from building economic power and contributing to the persistent racial wealth gap in the United States. Because that's the only thing that matters when it comes to the U.S. People with the money and the power make the rules. We know that. So, here are some factors. Historical and ongoing discrimination, slavery and Jim Crow laws. These systems establish a foundation of occupational segregation, forcing Black people into low-wage jobs and limiting opportunities for economic advancement. Let me explain to you what that means for people in the back. That means no matter how smart you were, no matter what test you could pass, no matter how qualified you were, we still dealing with this. The systems within Jim Crow laws were put into place where Black people still, when it comes to low-wage jobs, they had to accept those jobs because they weren't afforded the opportunities for the higher-paying jobs, limited opportunities for economic advancement. This is no secret. So when you talk about the stories of Ruby Bridges, when you talk about the stories of Madam C.J. Walker, when you talk about the stories of Frederick Douglass, when you talk about the stories of Fred Hampton, you know, a lot of these people, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. I'm mentioning these people because these are people that everyone seems to know. When you talk about these people, they had to still grind and be the best that they possibly could in an environment in America where they weren't afforded proper education, general education, simple education based upon the color of their skin. So when we look at how America, white people specifically, in the white system, because we'll probably get into that, it's a system, not just individual. Sure, individual white people did things, but there's a system that goes on. How you think Abraham Lincoln got assassinated? How do you think Elijah Lovejoy got killed? How do you think John Smith got killed? Those are white people. So we need to address the system. I don't want to get too far though and give you too much at one time. So when it comes to forcing Black people into low-wage jobs, what they did was they said, hey, you know what? Since you're Black, we don't believe that you're qualified based off the color of your skin. Now, again, I love the people when it comes to diversity. There are white people who I love. There are, you know, blue, green, Asian people who I know and respect. All that. Fine. But we have to acknowledge today, we just talking about our Black people. And I don't need to give a disclaimer, but I like to do so anyway. When it comes to people questioning knowledge, intelligence, what can be dumber than people saying, oh, this person isn't qualified because of the color of their skin? Based off your visual cortex, the retinal cortex, and also your brain, putting information together of what you see as far as color, you basing everything off of a social construct, which means that you're not basing your decisions off of anything that's real. These are what white people did back in the day. Okay, that's what happened. Sounds dumb to me. But let's continue. Discrimination in housing and lending. So redlining still goes on today. I got the book. Redlining. This practice involves systemically denying loans or insurance in predominantly Black neighborhoods, hindering property ownership and wealth building. This is Google, by the way. You can look this up yourself. For those of the people, type in list of systematic delays that prevented black people from building economic power. Because there's an assumption that black people are just lazy and broke and have nothing, never had nothing because they're lazy and don't work hard and aren't intelligent. That's false. There are people on each corner of the earth, all corners of the earth, who are unintelligent, misinformed, and don't have the required experience to do anything. But what happens is when you have a group of people, when you have, let's say, a building, and majority of those people within that building, the black people, are misinformed and uneducated and inexperienced. If I'm coming from a community, if I'm a white person coming from a community that's prominent in wealth and, building and, development, you'll generalize that group of people. So when someone like me or whoever else comes along who may have a little bit of education, works just a little bit, intelligent, talented, dynamic, what happens is you're considered an anomaly, maybe in that building. I'm considered an anomaly when it comes to the black people that I've had black people tell me that. But here's the deal. When you aren't afforded the situations to actually be your best, then you become a product of your environment. People talk about crabs in a bucket. No one talks about the bucket. When we look at black people and what they've had to endure, and being someone who is a proponent of their environment, I understand fully what happens. So you may be well educated, you may be intelligent, you may have, you may be dynamic, but you can go to your hood where people are starving, lack of education, lack of knowledge, lack of resources, and they see your car, they start busting at it. This has happened to me. So it doesn't necessarily matter if you're an individual of substance for everyone to see. What matters is if you can actually provide what you are looking for within a specific area, if you can provide a way out, maybe just for yourself, if people could see that. So redlining was a practice. Systemically denying loans or insurance in predominantly black neighborhoods, hindering property ownership and wealth building. It wasn't until 1968 the Fair Housing Act was implemented. You want to know what the Fair Housing Act is? The Fair Housing Act allows people who are wealthy or elite families, because there were elite families back in the day. We're talking 1800s, 1900s. There was a girl in the 1800s who was living on the base where oil. She was living on the reservoir of oil. She became elite because that reservoir of oil was just under her where she was living. And she was able to actually prosper from that. There were plenty of elite black families, but it didn't matter because the Housing Act was just implemented in 1968. That actually, we're going to do this because we only doing this for the people in the back. So the Housing Act pretty much allowed black people to buy and wouldn't allow other people to discriminate against them. But we got the definition for you because, we all believe in Google. So let's use Google. The Fair Housing Act of 1968. I've typed it in right here. 1968 Housing Act. Also known as the Title 8 of Civil Rights Act of 1968 prohibits discrimination in housing based on race, color, religion, sex, national origin, family status, and disability. So no matter how much money black people had, they still weren't able to buy housing or farming. Now, this is huge. For the people who have made money in real estate, you know why this is huge. And I'm dropping the facts today. So I understand we have a lot of different People out, they barbecuing, they got the red, black, and green balloons, but we still haven't advanced because it's only about 11% of us in America right now, and we don't have enough resources or wealth. So there needs to be some sort of knowledge and acknowledgement for what has happened and how we can get out of it. So I just want to break things down surgically so that people understand why black people don't have anything. You may see 3 or 4 billionaires, but go to some of the neighboring communities like Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, Atlanta. Not so much, Atlanta, they do their thing down there. Mississippi. Some of these communities have nothing because that's how it started. No matter how much money you had, you couldn't buy. Not to mention people forcibly just taking whatever you owned as a black person. That happened. So just to read the rest, it aims to ensure that equal access housing and prevent discriminatory practices in the sale, rental, and finance of housing. Right. So if you earn, this is when you see a lot, I'm just break it down surface level. When you see a lot of housing, let's say Oak Park, Illinois, you go to some of these suburbs, a lot of these places have housing. You see the housing, $1 million, $2 million. They're kind of old, but that's what's there. That's because a lot of white people were able to actually buy housing at a lower rate, sit in it, wait until the community is flourished with good schools, good banks, good hospitals, good stores, more people bringing in more money. The amount of the actual housing raises because the value of the community raises as you bring in different things like Target and all this other stuff. They hold on to the property. They pass it down to the people, their kids, who can live within that house. They bought the house at a low interest rate. So if your interest rate is about 2.8%, your mortgage is low, and you can work, you can live in that big ass house and not be able to have your ass out when it comes to actually profiting for yourself and also building equity. That's how this is how a lot of people, when it comes to not black people, I'm not talking about the black people. Any white person who bought a house before 1968, they will be ahead of you just off that. So I just broke down how it happens, why it happens. People may refinance, but also people paying interest rates that they established way back in the day, man. So I hope that this makes sense. What I want to do, man, what I want to do now, we may not, this list is so big, we may not even be able to get to all this, man. Because I'm going to break it down. But I do want to do this. Before we get off, it's already been 30 minutes. It's already been 30 minutes. But before we get off, I want to play something about my brother, Dr. Martin Luther King. Now, again, this is Juneteenth. We not, I got other things. I know a little bit more, but we focus on black people right now. Now, I want you to see what Dr. Martin Luther King said. Now, this is right before, this time period is a short time period before he gets assassinated. Listen to what he learns and what he's interested in getting before he dies. So that's what he was on. He said, we come to get our check, man. Keep all the other stuff. Keep all the other stuff. We already know you don't like us. We already know you don't respect me. We already know that. We get it. I'm here for the money. So this is a guy who understood. You seen Doctor by his name, right? So I mean, he's also BS aside. I'm being extremely facetious right now, but being a black man and being intelligent and being articulate and being extremely diplomatic, That didn't work then. It ain't working now. People still don't respect you. I'm talking about black people too. I'm not just talking about white people. I'm sorry. I know people would hope it's, different. That's the truth. So I've spoken to entrepreneurs as well. I've spoken to a lot of different people who have shared the same sentiment as far as black people wanting to do better and hoping to do better. But at the end of the day, if we don't support ourselves, who will? That's the main thing. At the end of the day, a lot of different things that have prevented us from being the best that we possibly could has also been something that we should actually look to actually resolve, because it's the best thing for us. So MLK is somebody that I actually want to pinpoint, but also, of course, Malcolm X. Malcolm X was a phenomenal guy, man. Phenomenal. And for me personally, I see a lot of myself in Malcolm X because of what he taught and what he stood on. So Malcolm X was born Malcolm Little. A lot of people don't know that. He changed his name to Malcolm X because at the end of your name is, if you're a black person, the end of your name came from a slave plantation. Okay, was a prominent African-American Muslim minister and human rights activist. One of the things I want to highlight with Malcolm X is he was in search of the truth. That was it. He also wanted his black people to be in a place where they can actually fight, fend, afford for themselves. Ever since black people arrived in America, there has been a huge stipulation. And I'm speaking lightly when it comes to stipulation, about them getting their own. So again, where is the restitution and the reparations, I might add? Absolutely. I want reparations. The Native Americans got $6 billion in reparations. Built casinos. People from the Holocaust, their descendants, $90 billion in reparations. People say, where's the money going to come from? When COVID hit, how much money was given to businesses to jumpstart the economy again? I think at this point it's just an excuse. This is why a lot of black people have to stand together, man. There's not a lot of ways out. You got all of these things happening. You have discrimination, you have redlining, you have unequal access to lending, you have discriminatory housing policies, you have home devaluation in black neighborhoods, you have employment discrimination, you have predatory financial services, you have lack of access to resources that feed to limited access to quality education, underinvestment in black communities, discriminatory agricultural practices. You have all these things. On top of that, you have an influx of ignorant black people. People who are not righteous. People who are looking for you to actually not get ahead at all. Hang on you. Nasty black folk, right? On top of that, you have unforeseen systems and institutions who are looking to meet quotas and percentages. So you know how you hear about, hey, if there is a building, we need this percentage of black people here under whatever they're looking at, state law, federal law, whatever else. They look to meet that quota and they move on. On top of that, you have, other people who just don't like black people. So I don't understand what black people are thinking regarding treating other black people terribly, especially when you have young people trying to come up and make do with themselves. Malcolm X was a phenomenal leader. We don't have time today to look into the speeches of every single person that we bring up. But it is imperative that we understand and research these people. Also, everything ain't on YouTube. You're going to have to grab a book. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that. You got Malcolm X. Another person I love to bring up, Madam C.J. Walker. Why? Because she's one of the first millionaires creating a hair product, doing the thing. Again, Madam C.J. Walker was an American entrepreneur, right? Born in 1867. May 25th. I'm sorry, 1867 to 1919. She couldn't buy property. At least within the law, she was not able to buy property. Some people would have to put the property in other people's names, white people's names, put the money down, and then hopefully they come out on the other end with the property. Didn't always happen that way, of course. So when people today talk about, oh, just pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You too lazy. You uneducated. You're not intelligent. You too fat. You too this. You too that. There have been practical, real, tangible, monetary shift backs that have prevented black people from doing any other thing but struggle until they got an opportunity to actually be the best that they could. What happens if you only allow black people to be in the fields? What happens if you only allow black people to play basketball? What happens if you only allow black people to read the shitty books, to read certain Bibles, to be in certain classes? Luck is a social construct. Bill Gates. How really smart was he? Bill Gates went to Lakeview High School. He was afforded the opportunity to go to Lakeview High School, where he was able to actually have a computer where he was involved with another individual. They had this computer. They was messing around with it, all credit to him. But they had the opportunity to create Microsoft. You don't believe me? I'll show you. Because we all believe in Google, right? All right. Was it Lakeview or Lakeside? I'm sorry, Lakeside School. So Bill Gates attended Lakeside School, a private school in Seattle. He enrolled at Lakeside when he was 13. Okay, it was a Lakeside that he first developed a passion for computer programming, according to Britannica, right? So he met Paul Allen, who later was just the guy who I was talking about, became his co-founder at Microsoft at Lakeside as well. I found the information that Bill Gates at Lakeside, they only had that computer to actually work on in a book, The Psychology of Money. So it's not about if you're actually intelligent enough. Sometimes it's actually about the opportunity. But when it's stripped from you before you even have a chance, what can you say? Black people were doing a couple of things. They were getting to the money, getting to the books and all this other stuff, while being misrepresented, underappreciated, disenfranchised, and marginalized, discriminated against, racism, all these different factors that come into play, still planned out to be one of the best people who could actually set foot on American soil, man. So I want to look at Juneteenth joy. We looked at a couple prominent leaders, people to look up to. Madam C.J. Walker, Huey P. Newton is another one. One of the Black Panther brothers. Also, his intellect goes unnoticed because the Black Panthers was the Black Panthers was such a force that we don't acknowledge that he studied with a lot of respectable philosophers. Completed a dissertation. So co-founder Black Panther, he knew repression firsthand and became a symbol of black urban. What was the title of his? So he had a doctorate in social philosophy. All this stuff goes unnoticed. See, they show you the guns and everything first. He went on to earn a PhD in social philosophy from the University of California at Santa Cruz History of Consciousness program in 1980. In 1989, he was murdered in Oakland by a black man. Tyrone Robinson, a member of the Black Guerrilla family. Okay? So, when we talk about some of our prominent leaders who actually made a difference, made a way for us to acknowledge ourselves and actually cement who we are within history. I'm going to tell you also, Huey P. Newton created the Rainbow Coalition. What's the Rainbow Coalition? The Rainbow Coalition fought for equality within people who are being underrepresented and actually hardened by the government in the U.S. of America. Guess who was in the Rainbow Coalition? You got the black people. Sure. You had the Young Patriots. And you also had the Spanish. You had the Spanish. And who were the Young Patriots? Middle class, lower class white people. I'll look it up because we believe in Google. So let's go ahead and do that. What groups of people were in the Rainbow Coalition? All right. Straight from Google, the original Rainbow Coalition formed in Chicago in 1969 was a diverse group of activists and organizations united by the shared goal of fighting social injustice. Key members include the Black Panther Party, the Young Lords, which were the Spanish, and the Young Patriots organization. These groups represented Black, Latino, and white working class communities, respectively, collaborated to address issues like poverty, police brutality, and inadequate housing. We believe in Google, right? I don't have time to share and tell you everything that I know. It's gonna take more than an hour. But hopefully this Juneteenth, we can have something other than balloons, cake, chicken, and whatever else. You know, and Juneteenth, you know, we appreciate. I do want to say this. When it comes to Juneteenth joy, I do want to highlight fashion, food, culture, and inventions. Hang on. See, when it comes to black people, we got to have more than balloons. And more than, yeah, you know, I'm struggling, I'm black, and it's because we always been defeated. That's not the case. Black people did build. It was just burnt down. A few times. Look up Negro Fort. Negro Fort. Black people tried to build, took out the U.S. Army a couple times, but the U.S. Army, the government, came down, burnt down Negro Fort, said that it was a threat to government. If you don't believe me, let's look it up. You believe in Google, right? Why did Negro Fort get burned down? Of course, you also have the famous you know, where the black dollar was spinning, and they hated that. They came and burnt that down. Black Wall Street, Tulsa. We know that. But let's do this. Negro Fort, located in Spanish Florida, was destroyed by U.S. forces in 1816, primarily because it had become a haven for runaway slaves from the southern United States. The fort represented a direct threat to the institution of slavery and the economic interests of slaveholders in the region. What? when white people, not only white people, but we Juneteenth right now. When white people say, black people, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You dumb, you stupid, you fat. Look at your community. It's very cruel to tell a person to pull themselves up by their bootstraps when the bootstraps was burned and bombed on plenty of times. Just imagine if we could have held up Black Wall Street. Just imagine if we could have held up Spanish Florida, Negro Fort. Just imagine if all the stores, the printing press, the grocery stores, we could have had if they weren't taken. This happened like 2 or 3 times, bro. 4 times. The beach down in California that was taken by the famous beach. I forget the name of the beach. That was taken. So this was burned down because fear of slave uprisings and escapes. Southern slaveholders saw Negro Fort as a beacon of freedom that could inspire enslaved people to escape and join a community at the fort. I don't have to make nothing up. It's right here. It's on Google. You got the U.S. forces come to, oh, you know what? We don't want that. We don't want no type of progression. Pressure from slave-holding states, Georgia slaveholders facing mounting pressure from runaway slaves, petitioned the U.S. government to take action against the fort. Says here, the Watering Party Massacre, a conflict in which 2 U.S. gunboats were attacked by the fort's inhabitants, further escalated tensions and provided a pretext for the U.S. attack. Can black people just live in peace? Can we just build and develop like you did? Because that's all that happened. You know, white people act like, and again, love the white people. But today, please, in this week, this month, I don't care. Let black people have their day, bro. You see what's been happening. And you know, white people, they own everything. They provide the lifeblood to the country. But the country is in shambles. It's been in shambles. So I don't know who's smarter. Who's smarter? Who's more intelligent? See, there's been a lot of things we've created. We've created plenty of things. You know, tools for the hair. You know, all types of different styles. Oh yeah, culinary. Here it is. See, I got all the facts. This is why I can't be tricked. What else? What else y'all want to see? Oh yeah. The white bonus. You know what this does? It breaks down all the percentages of how black people have been plighted so much that the percentages, how things are considered for economic, financial gain when it comes to community neighborhoods, the time elapsed from families on down, black people have been held back so much that there is not even a conversation. The facts are here. Oh, yeah. These books are written by white people. Take it up with them. I don't have nothing to say about that. They're written by white people. What else you want to see? Go get the books. Written by a white man. Let me break it down, man. All the white system has done is fascism. That's what it is. They take, they develop, war, kill, pillaged people, develop communities, honed all the wealth in certain spots, developed took, didn't allow other people to develop. That's all that happened. It's pretty simple. That's it. So when we talk about the people who have implemented fear in another people, don't allow people to talk, don't allow people to actually, and I'm going back a bit, but in the beginning, they didn't allow people to talk. Strip them of education, strip them of their family, strip them of language, all these different things. How can we, you say, what's the answers? What's the answers, right? How can we get out of the trauma loop? Here's how. Take accountability for yourself. That's how. I don't know what black people did for, us to go through slavery and all this BS. I have no clue. I don't have the answers. I'm not God. But take accountability for yourself. Believe that everything will work out. Stop fighting each other. This has been happening since we got here. Frederick Douglass, two things. Number one, when it comes to us trying to actually build out or experience some good, the white people, the white slave owner would implement gluttony. So if you like liquor, if you like food, the slaves would get so much food, so much liquor. They just drink themselves off a cliff. Bury their stomach so that they couldn't move no more. This is what happened. So the slave master would explain to them, hey, I gave you everything that you could possibly want. This is what it is. You didn't feel good. So how about I just ration it out for you? This is the psyche that happened. So what you need to do is you need to become more knowledgeable, more educated, get your facts going, provide yourself with time. Don't have babies until you're ready for them. I know it sounds simple, but it's difficult. I'm telling you what to do so that you can get to because you're already fighting behind the 8 ball. This is why it's so hard. This is why it's so difficult. So you have to make decisions that behoove you in the immediate future. If you don't want that, that's fine. Celebration, Juneteenth. But I'm telling you how to do it. Love on each other. Be a beacon of light for the young people that's coming up. Because I see a lot of us, 30 and under, 35 and under, who have no answers. Get all the education in the world. Articulate, diplomatic. Do this, do that. So that's all I'm saying. I think that people should realize, as I end this Juneteenth stream, that there is so much that we don't know that, in all honesty, should help us figure things out. But also, if it doesn't, let's just understand that we don't know it and let's move forward. So this can help you. You'll take a moment to pause and ask questions. You will develop a sense of humility when it comes to no matter who's in front of you. There are people within my family, community, won't look to give you $1, man. Won't look to give you no advice. Talk bad about you. It's been happening since the beginning of time, man. I like Frederick Douglass because he was such a no-nonsense guy, man. He taught his people within the slave camp how to read, planning his escape plan. Pick and con one day, because the day of the escape, he felt something. He was like, man, somebody about to trick on me. Lord behold, it was one of them niggas, one of them Negroes. His own. Told on him about his escape. If you don't want to escape, you want to stay in the matrix, why are you trying to do harm to me? Let me do what I'm going to do. I didn't ask you to come with me. Let me do what I'm gonna do. You go sit over there. I'm so sick of you niggas, man. Some of y'all, I'm sick of. One last thing. To destroy the trauma loop, you have to also build out economic power, period. Financial freedom, my only hope. What's being rich and dying broke? There is none. Economic power provides you the space to say what you want to say. You can get away from that auntie, your uncle, your daddy, your mama, any clowns. You can get away from them. Economic freedom also allows you to not have to depend on any of these institutions that are looking to actually disservice you by putting you in a position to fail. What do I mean? They have the merits. They have you working with people who already think something of you. They may be white and they can go upstairs and just cry and then you out of a job. It's all about economic freedom. To be able to eat, travel, experience life, have the time to just sit and read without having to wake up to an alarm clock. It's all about economic freedom. The Matrix is here. You got the Matrix, and then you got you. You have to fight to get out. Economic power, that's what it is. No matter what angle of earth that you go to, no matter what profession, people are looking to make money. That's what it is. So, that's how you get out of the trauma loop. Support each other, man. There's plenty of people out here doing beautiful things, from cooking to inspiring people on education, entrepreneurship, business, building houses. There are so many black people out here doing beautiful things. Share that work. Build up on your history, because if you know your history, you won't run around in place for 50 years. Practical example. I'm at a school and I understand that if I get a couple degrees, 2-3 degrees, everybody telling me leave, man, you better leave. Now, I'm not saying they were wrong, but I thought me leaving was a given. I thought me leaving, I'll have a definite opportunity. No. That's not how it works. You could have the degrees, you could have the credentials. Now, I'm not saying there weren't any opportunities. Sure. Right? Instructional leader. Sure. You don't have to have your principal endorsement. Sure. Teacher position. Sure. But what I'm saying is you could be a part of a 12-person interview process, the only black male, and still not get your name called. What's going on? Experience, knowing your history. I did talk to some people, some black males before that. They told me the same thing. Hey, there were a lot of black males before. We don't know what's going on. I talked to a brother, he's in his 60s or 70s. He said, black people can show you the door. They can't walk you through it. So that means the opportunity is still not a given. So I went back. I ain't got time to be playing. I'm trying to become whatever I can become using social media. And I'm done with that. I'm done with that. I don't have time. I need steady this so I can flip that, do this, make sure I ain't gotta ever work again, man. That's what I'm looking to do. I ain't got time to be playing. But now I know that because I went through it. Knowing your history can help you figure out that people, whether it be white, green, whatever, blue, they gonna think you dumb no matter what. So don't fight it. You don't need to win another battle. Win a war, man. Win a war. In the simulation, provide a demonstration to the higher power showing who you are. Only then do we soar across the pages of life. Until next time, please levitate.